Barack Obama and Joe Biden, they're the future, they're the next president and vice president, and it was a big moment. And when we left, Gilda, I was asking you, what did your community, what did the Latino community here in Oakland think about this entire process?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that it was great to have the first sign of inclusiveness in his speech last night when he said white, black, Hispanic, Asian, gay, and straight. I think that's probably the first time we've ever heard a president have a speech that had celebrated the diversity of our country. So right away we felt we were included in terms of our community. I think that our concerns are American concerns about the economy, the issues around the foreclosure situation as well as jobs, but I think more specifically immigration. And obviously the president-elect had a certain issue with a certain family member that I think came to light. And so it's very clear that this is a president that possibly will look at immigration in a much more kind of realistic, non-fear-based approach. And so we really welcome the dialogue and really look forward to a better day when we start talking about sane and progressive immigration policy.
You know, I think for the first time that I recall, we have a man that's going to be in office that comes from community roots.
Right.
You know, he may have been a senator, he may be economically, financially successful, but that he comes from a biracial background and he grew up coming up. And that's something different than what we've already had before. So he can talk about the issues that affect all of us and all of us in the community. And he did not run as a black man. He ran as a person who was interested in leading this country. Am I correct on that?
Oh, yes, yes. I think that, you know, quite often when race was a part of this, and they kept saying that, is it time for us to have a person who is not white or to have a black male and all of that? He didn't campaign, and I didn't get the impression a lot of blacks did not vote for him just because he was black. They voted for him because of the words that he uttered, his vision that he had for the country. And this is not going to change, as you mentioned earlier, overnight, and we shouldn't expect too much of that right away. I've told many of the black leaders, and some of them who were a little bit hesitant to say, oh, what are we going to do right now? I said, you can still have your demonstrations, you can still march, things are not going to change, you can still go to the same job that you had from 9 to 5. Don't expect these changes right away, but when the changes do come, you have to participate in happen that to happen. So do not hold him to a higher standard than you would to anyone else.
The expectations are very high because he has made a lot of promises. And of course, the pundits are now saying he made so many promises, how is he going to make it happen? So the expectations are something that, do we have to kind of lower our expectations?
No, you should not lower them, because he didn't say, anytime you have a program and you have expectations or you just even know where you're going at any time, it doesn't mean that you have to do all of that in one day. You may be a year getting all of this done. You may even be 2 years getting this done.
Yeah, exactly.
That's better than those that we've had that didn't have any years or days or weeks at all on some of the things that they had promised to the people. So I don't think that we should seek to see that this is going to be done overnight. It didn't happen overnight, and so it's not going to cure overnight. But at least we're working towards an end to that goal and towards a definition of where we want to be.
Do you believe that the ethnic minority communities are going to say, yes, he made it with hard work, that means I can, or do they expect, okay, I'm poor, I'm disenfranchised, and that just because there's a black man in office that I will no longer be poor, I will no longer be disenfranchised? How are they going to interpret him being in office?
Well, I think for minority communities, we've always been very proud of having individuals represent us and break barriers, but there's also a same understanding that ultimately it's about lifting entire communities up. And I think people are very practical about that, and I think that having individuals who are able to forge new ground help inspire all of us to do what we can in big ways and in small ways to make sure that, again, that entire communities are lifted up. So I think that, you know, we should have the highest expectations and hold our elected officials to the highest standards. But I think there is some context here, and you know, the problems that we face and the reasons why you know, President-elect Obama ran are big challenges, whether it's trying to you know, fix our economy or achieve energy independence, really fulfilling the dream of a diverse America. These are not things that, you know, can be done overnight. But that doesn't mean
you know that it can happen.
Right.
But this does not mean that you're supposed to sit back and wait for someone else to do this. You know, if you want something done, if you will have it done yourself. I remember once before he had mentioned about people, it's very important that whatever we're going to do, you got to determine if you're going to be the thermometer or the thermostat. The thermometer simply measures the temperature, but the thermostat sets the temperature. So if you are going to set the temperature of your life, you have already received the proof that it can be done. There were a lot of people who were just pessimistic and say, oh, we'll never have a black person in there, this will never. Well, now you've seen it happen. So now that door is opened a little easier for you to move in. And I think that this should be an inspiration not only to the people in this country, not only to the blacks or the other ethnic groups, but all over the world they're looking at that. Because now we have a person who has said, I will talk to those leaders over there. Before we said, no, we don't need to talk to them. Yes, you do have to talk to people if you want to work things out. I think that this is the greatest thing that's probably happened to this country since the invention of the safety pin.
Well, and also I'd like to emphasize his mantra last night was, yes, I can. And for us in the Latino community, si se puede is a very, very meaningful phrase for us, which is translated, yes, we can.
Yes.
And it was made famous through Cesar Chavez in the farm worker movement. And those of us who remain very active in our Chicano Latino movement, si se puede is constantly uttered. And so it was very moving to have him using that over and over, because it does resonate for us. It makes us all better. When somebody from an ethnic group achieves, we all achieve. And I think that it is a really monumental moment, and I hope that it resonates down locally and to neighborhood where we have had tensions between ethnic minority groups that will no longer, like, what is the benefit to continue to have it be this way? Let's work together.
And I think for young people who've been such a big part of Obama's campaign, it really has always been a consistent ethic of responsibility, that they were always invited to participate in the campaign and to actually go out and get the votes, get the support for Obama, whether through Facebook or YouTube or text messages, that young people in particular, I think, have had ownership in this campaign. And so we're hopeful that will carry forward into the administration. I think
and Obama and his staff were young enough that they appreciated how to get out the vote for the young people using the new technology that we have.
Right. And I think that in this new generation of young people, it's increasingly diverse, and that they're able to work across many of the boundaries that have in the past separated folks. And I think that's a reason to be optimistic.
Well, and many of them are also biracial.
Yes.
And I was just noting that all 8 of my nephews and nieces are all biracial. And so this is a generation that will be setting the pace here. And I'm really excited to see what's possible as a result of that orientation. It isn't just the one box that they're checking.
With
many of them are
multiple boxes.
checking the other.
Exactly.
Because they said, I'm not one or the other.
Exactly. Okay, we're going to take a break right here, because when we come back, one last time, we're going to talk about the future of what's going to happen to this country. We'll take a short break, but we'll be right back.